To do a dumbbell shoulder press, we have some similarities in other dumbbell press related movements, but we also have some pretty obvious differences, that we are sat upright rather than lying on our back. And this kind of flips the switch on which muscles are doing the predominance of the work. When we lie on our back, our chest is doing a lot of the work, our shoulders are doing a lot of the work, and our triceps are doing a lot of the work. So the load is kind of evenly spread across those three muscle groups. But when we go into this overhead position, our shoulders end up having to do a lot more work, and our triceps have to assist with the process, and our chest and kind of upper back musculature is mainly there as a supporting structure. There are a bunch of different ways that you can do this, and there are nuances into which is going to be the most appropriate for you. I am adopting the most comfortable version that I have found in this example, and that is, for me, I like my elbows out to the side rather than my elbows towards the front. I can feel more comfortable and more balanced when I do this. Other people find that it's more comfortable with their elbows at kind of 45 degrees towards the front. If we adopt the logic that we're using this dumbbell press variation as a strength building exercise, the priority is that you find a variation that you find comfortable and that you feel strong in. If you feel strong here, great. If you feel strong with your elbow a little bit further forward than this video shows, that's also fine. It's whatever way is going to allow you to consistently increase the load over a long period of time. So bear that in mind and the little nuances there. But there are some things you should probably always be doing regardless of where you put your elbow. One of those things is you want to try and keep your knuckle directly above your elbow or somewhere above your elbow basically the entire time. When you're out to the side here, you can kind of see in this side of the picture here, my hands are almost above my elbow. And when I begin to press the weight, the hands kind of stay above the elbow from the side and from the front. You'll notice actually that the hand is fractionally in, and that is basically just because that's the direction that the weight is going, and it's reducing the load a little bit onto the shoulder. If I was to have the weight over here, for example, the load is then further away from the musculature that's doing the work, and therefore it's going to be harder. So if we're again adopting this strength-based methodology, we want to find something that is consistent, and the way that that is going to be most consistent for you is the way that is the most comfortable. Hence what I was saying earlier on. So bear that in mind. If you prefer your hand to be directly above your elbow and out here, and you're always going to stay consistent with that, then that's the way to do it for you. So you'll see at the top, knuckles are basically above the elbows as well. If you really struggle with this range of motion in your shoulders and this feels uncomfortable for you, or you have to really aggressively arch your back and get your chest like facing up towards the ceiling to get into this overhead position, then I don't see any issue with putting the bench one click back. So it's a very steep incline because you're still mainly using your shoulders. Even if you have the bench like this, so it's a little bit leaning back, you're still going to mainly be using your shoulders, and your chest is going to be there as a little bit of support. So something else to consider is if you push with your legs back into the bench, it can provide a lot more stability for your back as well. However, another way of doing this exercise is with no backrest whatsoever, and typically this is more difficult because when you push back, obviously there's nothing to push back against. It means the musculature that surrounds your spine is going to have to be stabilizing the entire time through the movement, and that mainly becomes more difficult when you're in this position here, so you're almost locked out and you are locked out, because when you're here now, all this stuff here has to be working quite hard just to stop this from falling in this direction. So the front musculature of your spine here is stopping you from falling backwards, and that is a much more difficult way of doing the exercise. You will typically find that the weight that you can lift in this version will probably be a little bit less.